What's up, guys? So what is Prozac? Like, I have been prescribed Prozac before. I am diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and I at one time was prescribed Prozac. Prozac is an SSRI, and I want to tell you about my experience. If you're new to my channel, hit the like and subscribe button. My name is Eric. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm none of that. I am diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, GAD, and MDD. I lost a wife and a father to suicide, and I'm a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. I like to share all the tools and experiences and everything that I can just to help somebody out there who's struggling feel a little bit less alone. Prozac. I was prescribed Prozac in my early 20s. Prozac is SSRI. Essentially what it does, it's very similar to Zoloft, a lot of the other antidepressants, and it's a serotonin medication. We do have different chemicals in our brain that do affect us differently, especially when it comes to depression. Being diagnosed with major depressive disorder, it hits very strongly in waves, and it's not always something that you're going to be left with the rest of your entire life. With me not self-diagnosing myself, I probably burned out all of my dopamine due to my addiction, which is actually something that is kind of common. So I do struggle with depression waves very often. So I have trialed and errored with a lot of different medications. Prozac is one of them. And Prozac is very widely used. The side effects on it are minimal, and it is a very, very, very successful drug for a lot of people. It's often also used in a combination with other medications. So if you are prescribed Prozac, this video isn't to bash the medication or to scare you from the medication. This is to help the few people out there that had the reverse side effect that I did. One of the side effects of Prozac, and it's typically in younger people. I guess in my mid-20s, I was still a younger person. I haven't taken it again because of the experience that I did have, but it can cause suicidal thoughts. That's one of the things that's very interesting when it comes to a lot of antidepressants. They can either be this amazing lifesaver, this light, this window of just hope, of happiness. It helps correct the misbalance in our brains. And for some of us, it adds to it. I was one of those that it added to it. Prozac literally got me to the point that I wanted to kill myself. And I don't know why a lot of antidepressants have worked that way. I have done a gambit of antidepressants. Zoloft, it was the only one that did not give me suicidal thoughts. It made me really happy, but I didn't want to leave bed. Lexapro was one of the worst also, mainly because with Prozac going into it, I knew that it was a very strong antidepressant. So knowing that it's more of a stronger antidepressant, it was explained to me by a doctor, and I don't know if it's true, but it was explained to me a doctor, Lexapro isn't quite what Prozac is. Prozac is like, hey, here's the Hail Mary, this will help you. Versus Lexapro, which I was told, hey, it's very mild. The suicidal thoughts and tendencies that came with Lexapro took a while to hit. It didn't hit like overnight. It wasn't like I was taking the medication. All of a sudden, I woke up the next day and said, I hate my life and I just want to end it. With Prozac, it was somewhat of the same. It hit in about 3-4 days is when I started noticing something wrong up here. And when it comes to suicidal ideation, with these medications, a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to be, suicidal and I'm going to be contemplating killing myself. That's not really what it is, or at least what it was for me. What it was for me is it was a continual building of hopelessness. And the more and more that the hopelessness grew, the more and more I wanted a way out of it. It was like the dark just hole here. It wasn't even like a storm cloud. It was a hole here that kind of just sucked the life and sucked the energy out of me. And it started becoming one of those that I would find myself rationalizing how if I wasn't here, the pain would no longer be there. That everything going on in here would stop and that everyone would be better off without me. It was one of those that it started to mess with my brain going, man, I'm on this massive medication. I'm not feeling very good. It's not working for me. What is going on with me? And I continued to take the medication. I eventually got to the point that I called my doctor and I was like, hey, I got to stop this. Something's wrong. And it wasn't until I fully realized how far down the road of suicidal ideation that I got, where I'm actually starting to formulate a plan. And when you start to really formulate a plan, you notice that you're not telling anybody, you're not speaking to anybody, you're not saying, hey, I'm suicidal, I'm going to commit suicide. It's really all in here, and you're wearing the biggest, fakest smile in the world. And I did that because I was on Prozac. I was supposed to be happy. A lot of people refer to this as their happy pill, and I'm on Prozac, so I'm supposed to be happy. So I wore that big fake smile as hard as I could because I wanted people to think that, hey, the medication's working for me, don't give up on me. At the same time, though, inside I was giving up on myself. I noticed that weight of just hopelessness to growing and growing and growing, that I literally wasn't crying or anything, but would sit back and just go, what is the point of all this? What is the point of all this? Why don't I just get this over with right now and I don't have to go through it anymore? And it will all stop. And nobody has to put me through going to these doctors and the different medications. And it was this justifying that I realized that, oh my God, something's not right. Something is going wrong. There are other side effects to Prozac, but I didn't get any of them. I don't ever really, when it comes to medication, I've never gotten the nausea. I've never gotten the upset stomach, the chills. I've never gotten a lot of those reverse side effects. With Prozac, it was just this wave blanket of, I don't really want to be here anymore. And it's hard when it is an antidepressant because I think it screws with our heads, at least with mine a little bit more, of why doesn't this work for me? What's wrong with me? There has to be something even worse with me. This is supposed to help everybody and it's not helping me. Why not? And that's one of the things that screwed with my head the most when it came to it. With SSRIs, they typically have really good effects. I know people that have success stories with Lexapro. I know people that have success stories with Prozac, with Zoloft, and that's awesome. And that's part of the trial and error. Also realize, though, that you have to pay attention, and if it does flip in your brain and it starts going the bad way, you got to call your doctor because it is a side effect out there, and it's not one that we commonly would think is part of, hey, why am I feeling this way? I'm taking this medication that's supposed to help me, but why am I feeling this way? And it's almost like we internalize it and beat ourselves up that it's us. It's not the medication. And that is where I found it was the most dangerous for me. As soon as I took it away from being, hey, this could be a side effect of the medication, to this must just be how I am, I need to just end this all, is when I go, nope, I got to call the doctor. I got to call the doctor. Something's not right because I wasn't like this 3 weeks ago. When I'm getting to the point that I am formulating a plan going, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live anymore. That is the side effects, though, when it comes to a lot of these SSRIs. So be very familiar with that and don't be afraid to talk to your doctor about it. One of the things that I was very, very strict with myself on is if they tried to increase or decrease the doses, I didn't want to do the medication. And I was very, very adamant about that. And so I would trial and error through other medications. And that's why I like to share my experiences, because for a lot of people, Prozac is awesome. And I hope that it works for you. You take it, awesome. And if it works, even better. I mean, I'm jealous in a way. But if it is giving you that side effect, it is a side effect. And it's okay. And it's not you. It's not you. It's you're taking this massive medication that you're going, hey, this is supposed to like fix everything, and it's not fixing it all. That frustration builds, that anger builds, and that self-defeating builds, where you go, you almost take that weight off of everything and you just put it on yourself and you go, it's me. It must be me. And that's not the case. No matter what it is when you're going through medication, it's all about communication with your doctor, checking in with them, letting them know how you feel, when you feel, and even journaling and logging it, because you want to check those mood swings and get them balanced out. That was one of the big things that helped when I went through my trial and error with Adderall. So when you are going through this, especially whenever you take a new SSRI, if you really want to get the maximum benefits to keep yourself in check, to keep you out of here where you start assuming that it's you, start keeping a journal, and at least for the first 30 days, of how you're feeling with the medication. Because if you notice that your journal is going downwards, there's an issue. And now we got to call the doctor and we got to get help. It's not you, it is the medication. So that's when it comes down to part of the trial and error is the safest way to do it. If you are on Prozac, I mean, hit the like and subscribe button, comment down below. I'd love to hear your comments, because the more that we share, the more that it helps people along on that trial and error, because medications affect us all differently. And going through that can be a scary process, especially when you feel alone and you're the only one, and you're not. So hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below. If you're on it and it's working for you, awesome. And if you're on it and you've taken it and it's making you feel this way, call your doctor immediately. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm none of that. I created a nonprofit to bridge the gap between a crisis hotline and therapy, with all the experiences, tools, and resources possible to essentially help somebody through when we need just a friend to talk to. That's why in the description, I have links to the mental health Discord communities, peer-to-peer support. I have links down below to things on Amazon that I use, like fidget cubes, fidget spinners. Even have a link down below for the mental health rehab that I work for, if you want to get into a mental health rehab, a facility to help with your trial and error, even to BetterHelp. because it's all trial and error for what works for you. And it comes down to what works for me may not work for you, but not giving up and realizing that it is a little bit of a journey, but it's not one that you're alone on. So hit that like and subscribe button. Let's do this together. You're a BAMF. You're a badass motherfucker. You made it through 100% of your worst days to make it through 2 today, and you got this.